Welcome everyone to today's lecture on the chemical coordination and integration systems of our body. This is the part 1 of the lecture, and in the next part you will hear the series will be completed. So, in the previous part of the lectures you have learnt about the neural system and how it coordinates the various organs and the entire function of the human body. Today we are going to learn about the other part of the coordinating and integrating system that is present in our body, which is the chemical coordinating system. So, what do we mean by this? So, this actually refers to what is known as the endocrine glands, and the products of these endocrine glands are called hormones. So, let me tell you a little bit more about this. Why do we need to have such a endocrine gland and hormone system as chemical coordinators in the human body? The reason is because, as you have heard about the nervous system before, although it is a very good and quick method of regulating and coordinating the multiple actions that take place throughout the human body. However, nerve fibers do not innervate all cells of the body, and because of this the cellular functions need to be continuously regulated, and many of the cells in the body in many different organs do not have a direct innervation from the nervous system. So, the cellular functions are not regulated by the nervous system. So, in order to regulate these cellular functions in different organs that are situated all over the body, you need another special kind of system. So, the special kind of system for coordination and integration is the hormonal system, and the product of the endocrine glands, which are the hormones. So, classically hormones have been defined as the product of the endocrine glands, and we will come to know about more details in today's lecture. So, as I have said before, the neural system and the endocrine system are the two arms of the coordinating system within our body, and they jointly coordinate and regulate all the physiological functions that are present in our body. So, endocrine glands, what are these? So, endocrine glands are typically known as ductless glands. What do we mean by ductless glands? So, normally many glands that you have heard of in your body have ducts. For example, the pancreas is a gland. The pancreatic duct is what is like a tube that connects the pancreatic gland to the digestive system. So, this tube is the duct through which the product of this gland can travel and enter the digestive tube. So, similarly, the endocrine glands, however, also produce hormones, but they do not secrete them through the ducts, rather they secrete them directly into the bloodstream. Hence, endocrine glands are known as ductless glands, and their secretions, as I already referred to before, are called hormones. So, I was telling you that classically hormones were defined as the product of an endocrine gland which is released into the blood and very importantly transported to distantly located target organs. This concept of something that is far away from the site of the gland where the hormone is produced being regulated by the hormone is what was used classically to define hormones. However, this classical definition has now been updated and it is a little bit different. It has become more broader to include many more substances that can also be called as hormones. So, the current definition of hormones are that hormones are non-nutrient chemicals which act as intercellular messengers, that is messengers between cells that communicate from one cell to the next and are produced in trace amounts. They are not produced in huge quantities, unlike certain things like digestive enzymes. Okay. So, this current definition of the hormones is much broader, hence it covers a large number of new molecules in addition to the hormones that we already knew from the classical definition of hormones, which are secreted by organized endocrine glands. Now, invertebrate systems have very few substances that function as hormones, and whereas in vertebrates including us humans, there are large number of chemicals which have been classified as hormones. So, let us learn then more about these hormones in more details. Since we are going to study the human endocrine system, there are several endocrine glands that produce hormones, and some of these are not glands, but they are tissues or cells located in different parts of the body which together constitute the endocrine system, and this is depicted in this diagram that I am showing you here. So, there are many different tissues and organs which come under this endocrine system, and we will discuss all of them one by one. So, you may have heard of many of these. So, the pituitary, which is situated in the brain, then the pineal gland, which is also very closely situated to the pituitary in the brain, and then you come down lower, there is in the throat, there is the thymus gland in the chest, and the thyroid and the parathyroid glands in the throat, at the beginning of the throat. And then if you go down further below, we have this huge gland called the pancreatic gland, which performs several functions that are important for digestion of food. And then on top of the two kidneys, we have this triangle shaped gland, which is called the adrenal gland. And then further down below, as part of the reproductive system, which is different in the males and the females, you have the ovary in the females and the testes in the males, which perform regulatory functions for the reproductive system.